So this is the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting. And first task is to remind everyone present of the Council's expectations for the audio or visual recording of this meeting. Parish Council meeting may be audio recorded under the Openness of Local Government Regulations 2014. Devices that are placed on the table provided throughout the meeting. Okay? So, moving on, item 2, do we have any apologies?
Councillor Bell has recorded in the book.
John Bell, we happen to accept John's apologies, he's not allowed. Item 3, declarations of interest and dispensation. To receive declarations of interest not already declared, blah blah blah. To receive and consider and decide upon any written applications for dispensation for disclosable pecuniary interest and to grant any requests for dispensation as appropriate. So does anyone wish to declare make a declaration of interest in any item on the agenda? And if it becomes apparent as we're going through it, if you think, oh, maybe I should, then just speak up at that point, please. Item 4, to note the minutes for the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting held on the 30th of July 2023. These have already been approved by the full Parish Council, so they're just on the agenda, just to note them. Okay. To receive information on the following ongoing matters arising. So clerk's update. Gemma, do you want to talk us through these points?
Yes, please. So there's 2 items tonight on the matters arising. There's been an ongoing one on John Woodley's grave, and this is around electing or adopting a trustee. We're currently in communication with the solicitors that are dealing with John Woodley's grave. There are currently 2 trustees that are on that grave, but we need to have a look at one from a parish council point of view. Previously it was Councillor Tony Haynes, who obviously is no longer on the council. I've got an ongoing inquiry as to whether it has to be a named councillor or whether it can be Ackworth Parish Council as a governing body that can become that trustee, because with this particular situation, every 4 years, if it's to change, it has to go through a very formal solicitor process, and it can be quite hard work for people involved. So it can be Ackworth Parish Council. So that's the latest update on that one. I've popped on there rather than, because these things do take a while, I've said I will advise another update within the next 3 months. So as soon as I get another update, I will update everyone.
Okay, is that alright, everybody?
Yeah. So the next one is on this building, Balmain Community Centre. As you will recall, on the last agenda, we had recommendations after some emergency repair works that we are in need of a new roof. I have gone away and started to contact people to get some quotations off the back of that last meeting, but I'm not comfortable yet that I've received enough quotations given the value of replacing the roof. So I've extended that to reach out to more. I have reached out to 3 and only 2 have come back, so technically I've done what I needed to do, but given the cost I think it's wise to gain more quotes.
Yeah. Okay, Bill, happy with that? Thank you. Thanks, Gemma. Item 6, financial matters, to receive the quarterly budget report. You have the budget report in your pack. Can I just say a couple of things before we, or Gemma raises any points that she wants to bring to our attention before I open it up to councillors for issues, whatever. First of all, this budget report's generated by software that we use, which is provided by a company called Realtus. It does take some time to become familiar with it, and Gemma's still getting familiar with it, and given that Gemma didn't set the budget up in the first place, knowing what all these budgets heads are and what's what takes some time. And it does happen from time to time that things appear in the wrong places, and so I hope you'll be understanding of that. First, and then I want to say with regard to the budget, the current annual budget, which is the second column, which is the budget that was approved at the March 2022 meeting. Yes, yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean that budget in the past, the budget has been the budget has been set. Once it's generated from the software, we then go through it line by line, or Sue went through it line by line, made adjustments here and there, you know, corrected the things that were in the wrong place, and made notes on anomalies and other such things. But last year, well not early this year when it was set, over the Christmas period, Sue was off sick, and so the budget that we approved was the budget that was generated by the system. So there may be some things in these budget headings. If there are, you might find if you're asking questions about some of the things in the budget headings, you might find that that's the reason why, because it was the software that generated it, not a human brain going through it, sort of, you know, picking up on bits. But that anything like that can be put right and can certainly be dealt with. Generally, in the past, we've started about November, up to December, looking through the budget to set them. And lastly, as you'll note, we're on month 3, which is 25%, isn't it, of the budget year. Okay, I'm going to ask Gemma if there's any particular lines, you know, figures, whatever on this budget we want to draw to our attention. And then I'll open it up to councillors to raise any points. So
Yeah.
Gemma. And if you're talking about a particular item, can you quote the number on the left-hand side, please? And then we'll know where we are.
Thank you. As Sarah said, I am still getting to grips with some of this coding and bits and pieces. The only things that I would really like to call out is there's some elements where, for example, insurance, you pay early on in the year. So that part of the budget, it looks like you've gone 100%, it's because it's only a one-off payment. So just bear that in mind when you're looking through the different proportions of the budget. There are some coding anomalies that just need switching over and changing. I am aware of that with working with the team, so we will correct those, but obviously, you know, feel free to ask questions, it's just that I won't be able to answer them this evening. The only thing that I would just like to call out, you can see yourself, it's quite self-explanatory, it's the first time I've seen this too, is that it's sectioned out into different areas, so I find that quite helpful. Is on the very last page, when you have a look at our overall, so rather than line by line individual, if you look at it as a whole council, and you can see the percentage of spend. As Sarah mentioned, this is the first quarter of the year, so you would expect 25%, so you can see that we're not too far out of where we should be for that quarter. And then in the next meeting, we'll have the report for the month 4, 5 and 6 to catch us up completely.
Okay, thanks Gemma. So we're going to look at it page by page, and like I said, if you want to ask, it's for information only, and Gemma will need time to make a note if it's things she can't answer. So if you want to ask about any particular line, please quote the number at the left-hand side. And then the assumption was that we'd have gone through this before we got here. So I mean, can I just raise on the first page, page 1, the very top line, 4,000 wages and salaries, 56%. In month 3, so that's clearly, I mean, if you don't have any answer about that, something we need to come back to and something we need to watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a crossover between me and Sue at that period. I am aware of that.
Right, okay. We'll watch how that balances out. Anything else on that page? Yeah, because if you look at the bottom of that, then the overall spending at the percentage spent at the bottom of that was 41.9, so obviously that's worth 25. And now on page 2, anything else on here? Can I just say on the election costs, 40-50, again, that's all gone out because that was for the May elections and the parish council has to pay for, we have to pay for room, well, anyway, we have to pay for things, don't we, stuff in the election.
The polling stations, don't
Polling stations, yeah, that's true.
So that's
Oh,
an
but they
example.
pay- oh, that's income. No, that's expenses.
Yeah, so that's an
Yeah.
example where the cost has already gone,
Yeah.
and that's why it's at
Yeah.
that length, that percentage.
Yeah. Oh, I think, yeah, no, for parish council elections, we as a parish council have to decide whether we're going to pay for everybody to get a polling card. Because some parish councils choose not to spend that money. So that's what I think that money is. There might be an element in it for the polling stations because it was 2 elections in one. But ordinarily when it's just district council, the parish council doesn't pay. But it could be that when it's parish and district, then we pay an element for the polling stations. Don't know of how.
So is it probably the staff that we're paying for to run?
Well, it's the hire of the rooms. Ordinarily, we get paid. Actually, there should be some income.
I think you're right. It's so when it's a parish election, we
Yeah.
might have some cost which we only got elected in 2023.
Yeah.
The polling cards, like you mentioned.
Yeah, different.
But then when it's just local elections, they're renting our facilities, you see, so we actually make an income on those years.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking it was funny that if we own the building, why are we paying rent on it?
Oh,
We
yeah.
must be paying
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that we are paying rent on this.
who are sitting there
Yeah.
for the day.
We'd expect to have an income because when it's just district council or when it's parliamentary, we get paid. The parish council gets paid for the rooms,
Right.
and the parish council never pays for the staff. So, yeah, the staff the polling stations. I'm saying no, we don't provide our own staff. We might be charged for the staff for a by-election, for example.
Yeah.
I think if there's an extraordinary by-election, I think we'd probably be charged for staff because Wakefield have to provide, electoral services have to provide staff and everything. Okay,
Could I just ask about pitch fees?
what number is it?
200 at the bottom.
200. What page do you want?
Page 2, I think. Yeah.
200, I can't see it, 200.
Under carbon
Oh,
credit, is
yeah.
that one?
Is
That's
that-
it.
that's
The centres. The centre's 200, precisely.
That's an income. Now, excuse me being such an ignoramus, but
No.
is that probably because it's not football season and that's why?
Right, zero. You're
Yes.
asking about the zero income.
I don't know that answer off the top of my head, but I'm happy to go away and have a look at that.
It was only because it was coming up later. That
Yes.
was-
I don't think they've started playing yet because
I think it's a winter.
what did we decide? We were giving the acronym for the other committee, but we had conflicts about all the parking, haven't we, about the...
And I don't know anything about football, so I'll find out.
I could be wrong, but you might be right.
Okay. Actually, why not I wanted to ask? I was puzzled by line 4101 under that one. Rates, if it's Carbage Field, because I didn't think we paid rates for the field. Pay rates for the building. Do you pay rates for fields?
Again, I'm happy to take it away
I
and
can't remember.
check that. It's obviously been budgeted for a specific amount, so it will be,
so
there'll be a
it
reason.
probably have done. I never remember them all from one. So, okay, we're happy to turn over. Next page, page 3. Any issues on that page, anybody? Again, the total percentage spent on that page is quite small, but then the sums of money are quite small as well, aren't they? Sums of money involved are quite small. Okay, turn over. And again, the percentage of spend under the community centres on 20, just about 25. The others are lower.
I can answer an earlier question now, I've just remembered. So we said about staff wages and salaries on the first sheet, coding everyone's been coded under the same code, and they need to be split under the relevant areas for the operative list. So you can see there, so you can see here on this page that we're looking at now under 4,000, it's under budget there, and that's one of the coding corrections that needs to happen.
Okay, thanks for that. We'll keep an eye on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and similarly, presumably, on the next page,
cemetery, so that person's wages has not been added to that cost centre, and that will help level it in the next report.
Yeah, okay. And again on this sheet, the percentage spend, the total percentage spent at the bottom are quite low, aren't they? Though some of them do contain things that are quarterly or whatever expenditure. Okay, and last one. So this is these are the totals. So the total is 33.4, which is high for month 3. But as I said earlier, some big sums have gone out, and there's the issue of the salary. I think the salaries is the one we need to watch, isn't it, to see how it's balanced.
The salaries is a balancing one between the cost centres. Things like insurance and bits and pieces they've gone out in full, which will take that overall by 8%.
And for those of you who are used to budget sheets where you have to where you're not allowed to overspend out in a certain budget head, our budget software doesn't put that constraint on us, so we don't have to vie between budget heads, but we do obviously have to monitor for responsibility. So, what does my agenda item say? So we're receiving this. Okay, happy to move on from this? Okay, thank you. 6.2, to receive the quarterly internal checks report.
I've got this. Just
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this is the one chair where Councillor Susie Sherritt and myself sit down on a quarterly basis and complete the internal checks, which we're probably due for again, aren't we, Susie? So we'll get that booked in. This covers April, May and June, so we will complete July, August, September and have that in the next meeting to again be up to date completely.
Okay, have you got anything, questions, comments, anything to say about this?
Do you get a cup of tea when you do your checks?
Well, just to record thanks to Susie for doing this for the council. Thanks to Gemma, of course, for all your work, but thanks to Susie for that role.
I did offer a cup of tea.
Oh, right. We've had that covered.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Very cheap to run when you do that.
And 6.3, to make recommendations on the requirement of interim internal independent audit.
Yes, this is one that I've just popped on. So last year we had an interim independent internal audit, which is a bit of a mouthful. It was a recommendation that the council decided to do at the time. I've added this on the agenda to see whether you would want to recommend to do this again. It's a good best practice technique, and it does mean that when the official audit happens I think it's before the end of the financial year into next year, it means that everything's in order and it's a quicker process. I do have the cost if anyone needs to know the cost of what it cost last year to complete that.
Yes, please.
So it was £345, the interim audit last year.
Okay. So, what do we think, Martin?
I personally think it's a good safeguard to have. It's good auditing practice, and I think that it can reassure us and reassure the staff, and it does everything really.
Yeah. And I think it'll be good support for Gemma as well, sure. So are we happy to recommend that we do that? Thank you.
Does it say we're only having half, or is it a little bit more having two?
I don't believe it's any saving, it's a separate fee for an interim because it's an additional service.
Right.
I think it's just more as an internal best practice. We're doing everything we should be doing.
Yeah.
Is that an order
No,
favour? Just
sorry, I wanted to ask suppose what I was really asking more about cost is, if they've done a half year, do they then only have a half year to do?
No, they still complete a full year. Because we have the right to appoint a supplier, I suppose if we chose to change suppliers, someone would have to do a full one again.
I see.
So this is sort of a half-time check, and you don't get a discount if they only need to do half the work.
Actually, given that it involves sums of money, perhaps we better have a recorded proposal and second and a vote, do you think?
Yeah, we can
So,
do that.
moved by Martin, seconded by Sharon. Are we all happy to make that recommendation?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, item 7. There's a lot in this item, so, and as Gemma said in her notes, in the notes she sent with us, you know, the expectation is that councillors, we don't give time for councillors to read documents in the meeting, because the expectation is, the hope that is that we've looked at them already. So 7.1, to review the internal policy of the Freedom of Information Act and the Data Protection Act. Can it be reviewed the internal policy for just the Freedom of Information Act and the Data Protection Act 2018, and to propose recommendations where required to the full council? And Gemma's prepared a document for us. Do you just want to talk?
Yeah, that's okay. So this is something that the council, I believe, do annually as best practice. This is our existing Freedom of Information policy on how we process, which is obviously something that we're all really eager to do, and clearing backlogs that we've got. The only bits that I've added in here in yellow, and these are recommendations only because the original action was for the committee to review, and they're based on YRCA's recommendations. So on the YRCA website, if you've never looked at it before, there's a lot of